Hi everyone, and welcome to another edition of Grammar Nibbles. Anyway, today we're going to talk about the first conditional. And in level 3, you're asked to know both the first conditional and the second conditional. Okay? And you also need to know how they're different and when to use them. The first conditional, it just talks about possibilities, right? If something happens, then something else will happen. So in this introduction, you are asked to read this letter from Median to Sarah. And in there, you'll notice that there's all sorts of if statements. If the weather is fine, I will go on a boat cruise. So let's see what you were asked to do. Okay, first was just to read and find those. Then, every conditional has two parts to it. And these parts are called clauses. So when you hear the word clause, we're just talking about a part of a sentence. If it rains is a clause. It's the if part or the if clause. I will take an umbrella is the result part or the result clause. It means, like if the first one happens, then the second one will happen. So you simply had to find the if clauses and find the result clauses. There's one if clause. Another if clause. And we can probably go through and do the result clauses afterwards. Let's look for some more ifs. If I see any sharks. If I visit another country. I will. Now, hold on a second. What's going on there? I have a will clause without an if clause. And that's one of the things that you need to recognize is that you don't always need the word if to create a conditional. 95% of the time you'll have it, but you can use other words as well. For example, unless. Some other words you can use are when, and anything that indicates something in the future. Okay, and then this one is another if clause. Okay, we don't have will there. Sorry, that's a result clause. We don't have will there. We have won't. Okay, and we'll talk about that in a bit. So what you're asked to do now is just to get these get the rules here into the right order. Okay, we're going to start with if, and then what tense follows the if clause? If I see, if it is, if the weather is. Okay, so it's not actually a verb. We need a subject after if. Then we need the present tense verb. Then you get the second subject. I will, I won't, I will, then will. And then last we have the verb in the base form. Some people call that the infinitive. The word that you use to describe it is not important. But what you do need to remember is that after a verb like will, if they're working together, you never have an S, you never have an ing, you never have an ed. You just have the simple form of the verb. Okay? And then the last ones were what we used to make things negative. And for the first one, it is unless. Now, a lot of people say that unless means if not, right? Just a sort of a standard negation. And it usually does. But there are times when unless means except if. And it's got a slightly different usage. So just be careful when you see the word unless and think about what it's actually trying to say. And then in the result clause, we had won't. All right. I hope that helps. Please try the practice and talk to your teacher if necessary.